Okay, we're looking at generative AI features in Illustrator. Now, one disclaimer here is that this is changing all the time. So what you see here might be changed, might be removed, might be evolved in some way. So just be aware of that. So on the first artboard, I've got a text prompt here, a cartoon guy speaking on a smartphone. So I'm going to try that in my properties panel here with nothing selected. You'll see generate vectors at the bottom here. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to type that prompt, a cartoon guy speaking on a smartphone. Okay, and I'll make a few changes here. I'll say effects, I'm going to choose this first flat design option, and color and tone, let's just say we want it to be warm tones, and then generate. Now obviously you need to be online. It's going to connect up to the mothership and do all of its processing and return something for you. So it's going to take a little while. Okay, so here is my generated graphic, and if I choose, I've got three options here. They're slightly different to each other. So that's without having a shape. Now if I choose a shape and I do the same thing, so I'll just copy this in case it hasn't remembered it, and I'll select this shape and I'll go to generative shape fill. And oh, it has remembered my settings. I'll leave that all as it is and I'll generate. Okay, so it's generated something different for this shape. Now, just to show you, if I do it again on another shape, this is an identical shape, identical prompts, identical settings, everything. Let's see what we get. So you can see each time it generates something slightly different. So this can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. So if you want to do some minor alteration using your text prompts, you can sometimes go completely on a tangent and get something different. What do you get in terms of your layers? So if I have a look here, you can see that it's got a lot of layers with a lot of groupings of stuff. It tends to create a lot of different little shading objects. So, if you want something quick, that doesn't require a lot of effort, then generative vector shapes is something that you might want to use. It definitely does not replace the actual construction tools and mastery of the actual Illustrator tools. If you can use the actual tools in Illustrator to create stuff from scratch, then you can add generated AI stuff as an additional feature. But if you're only reliant on this, then essentially you're just an AI jockey. So let's move on. So that's just generate vectors and generate shape, or generative shapefill, excuse me. So let's have a look here. So using AI, what if you get a document that has some text that isn't live text? In other words, at the top here, we've got text converted to outlines, and at the bottom here, we've got text that's actually an image. And you need to find out what this font is so that you can go in and try and either recreate this text or just use it throughout the document. So let's take the outlines first, and I'm going to go to type and then retype. And it's going to open up this panel here, and it's going to analyze the text. It's busy processing, and it comes back and it's absolutely 100% correct. It says stencil standard bold, which is what I used. Now, they've removed some features from this. You used to be able to then actually convert this to that text and to edit the text, but they've removed that, and I suspect it's got something to do with licensing of fonts. But so what you would have to do now is you would have to now recreate this text using that font after you've installed it, if it isn't already installed. So this is the way it stands at the moment. Maybe that other feature will come back. I'm going to exit out of here. Now I'm going to choose the image of that text and say find matching fonts. This is in the Retype panel. and it does exactly the same good job. So it's excellent at finding the font, and then from there you should know what to do with it. All right, so that's using AI for something completely different. If I have a shape that is a particular identifiable shape, so AI will be able to look at this and say, aha, I think this is a hot air balloon. It will actually fill in the details for you based on some settings. So I've got this shape. It was just an ellipse and a rounded rectangle and two lines, and I just expanded it all and united it into one shape. So I've got the shape selected, and I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to say generative shape fill. And I'm going to remove any text prompts, and I'll leave it on warm tones, and I'll choose that flat design, and I'll say generate. So you can see that it's used my shape, and then it's filled in and done actually quite an amazing job of filling it in. Now, I would caution you against using this as it is, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that you used AI here. You're not really going to be able to charge major bucks for a design that you just used a generative fill option for. But it could help you to establish some kind of details that you might then want to add using your own design features. Okay, so that is filling in a recognizable shape with details. All right, and then we're going to look at generative recolor. So here I've got my little Yum Yum ice cream logo, and if I'm really not sure what I want to do with color, if I go to my recolor artwork button and I go to advanced options, you'll see there's a generative recolor option here, and if I go there, I can also access it from edit colors, and then generative recolor, same thing. I can actually start describing some things here. So let's say I want to go for mid-century ice cream parlor. I don't even know what that's going to give me, but let's see. Generate. Okay, so it's given me some options here. I can try them out. That's quite nice, actually. Yeah, so it's given me some interesting options. Let's say that I want it to be more pastel. Okay, so again, gives me some different options. You can also add colors, and yeah, you can play around with this and get some color options. So if you're not really sure where you want to go with color, you can actually go in here and just type in some prompts and see what you get. So that is generative recolor. Let me just get rid of it. That was escape that I pressed. And then we have generative patterns. So if I take this shape and I say object, pattern, generate patterns, you can type in a text prompt to generate a pattern. So I'm going to say hibiscus and leaves. Let's see what it does. Okay, actually a pretty amazing job there. And it will add it to my color swatches as a group with that particular pattern in there. And of course, this is a pattern, which means I can do things like transform scale, pattern only, and I can adjust, transform pattern only, and I can adjust the pattern inside there. So actually, probably for me, this is one of the most useful AI features in Illustrator. All right, so there's just a little taste of some of the things. Oh, there's one more here. I forgot this one. So generative expand. So if I take this object and I go down here and say generative expand, and I expand it, And then I go in here and I say, let's just say clouds and umbrellas. Let's see what it gives me. So it's taken that vector shape and now it's analyzing it, and it's going to integrate it with generated items meeting that word prompt, clouds and umbrellas. Okay, I'm not thrilled with the results, but it kind of has given me what I wanted. All right, so you can play around with it. It's really trial and error, and I would say that if you're going to be using generative stuff, make sure that you have the other tools to take it further than this. Generated content is very identifiable these days and doesn't really separate you from just ordinary people who are playing around with this. If you're going to be a designer, you need more skills than just being able to generate stuff with words.